Game 2 of the Western Conference semifinals. The Warriors, fighting for their first win of the series, will try to even the score at 1-1 as they go up against the Nuggets. Round 2 of the NBA playoffs continues, coming right up.
On tap tonight's NBA playoff action continue. It's Game 2 of the Western Conference semifinals. And tonight, we'll see the Golden State Warriors. They'll go up against the Denver Nuggets. This is Kevin Harlan with Greg Anthony, Mark Morgan, and sideline reporter David Here's Hastings. Jokic defending. Hastings no good.
Well, he's much better than that. Really no excuse for missing that layup.
Nelson looking around. Back to Gallinari. To the inside. Here's Jokic. The Warriors pull it in. They come into this one after losing on Sunday.
Yeah, nowhere near at their best throughout the course of that game. A scrappy performance, but in the end, just not enough.
Yeah, a lot of character on display, a lot of guts. You're right. Even as shaky as they were, I would guess they felt they let one get away from them.
And so it's the Warriors getting on the board first.
Now, I know a lot of people are going to something I just said is but it's more so of me just accepting the reality of this one of my favorites in the roster. And I know that's really difficult for many people to comprehend, so let me just explain. All of this begins in the beginning of last season, during the summer, in which the Lakers, as always, looked up to drama, trying to figure out who the head coach was, failing and striking out on free agency by giving people's perspective, and not building a competent roster, and going into the season with a lot of question marks. And I can fully understand why that was. Of course, people were questioning how good J.J. Redick was as a coach, the improvement of Austin Reeves, improve as a player as well. And so it was strong focus with Anthony Davis can be the focal point of the offense as regard to center stage. However, if you are a true Lakers fan, you know for a fact, the biggest question that many people had in this last season, even before that, is how much longer can we continue to build the foundation around a duo that features a 40-year-old man? Let's be honest with ourselves, Lakers fans, for a second. All of us knew that we were holding our breath, hoping that we could just maximize the best we can, because we knew that the window of opportunity was quickly closing, and that was always in the back of our minds. Not J.J. Redick as a coach, not Austin Reeves, not Anthony Davis in the what was this team going to look like post-LeBron? And because of that reality, there was always an assumption on the ability to maximize what the Lakers can look like on a year-to-year basis. And if the Lakers, from the front office perspective, were not able to maximize what the team can look like, then does that mean the Lakers were to pivot into a different direction? Which is exactly what happened at the deadline. The Lakers decided to part ways with Anthony Davis and Wes Christie and then bring in Luka Doncic. We can go back and forth as a Lakers fan how you may have felt about that. But the reality is, there's the most logical conclusion to this. Unless the Lakers could go out there and find a center to place next to Anthony Davis, such as Miles Turner, at that time, there are a lot of reports claiming that the Pistons outran to New Orleans. Looking back at it, it's less than one game championship. So that wasn't the case. If you're able to put a 5 next to any game, well, you just need to do things and repeat. Now, despite many conspiracy theorists believing that LeBron was behind the table, he was pulling strings, he knew that AD was going to get traded, and he waited for Luka to come. Now, it doesn't make sense. Because thinking our now, for the first time since LeBron has been on this roster and played for the Lakers, he no longer has any leverage in any negotiations. And the reason why I say this so definitively is because of what he did in the beginning of the season, by opting into his player options. Something that he never, ever does. LeBron quite literally never does this. LeBron always, for the past couple of years in LA, and even a few years in his second stint in Cleveland, always signs a 2-year max contract year with the second year being a player option. The reason why he does not only to maximize earnings, but of course, there's some other layers of control that may transpire throughout the rest of the time for the team. All makes sense. Now, to be fair, there are some benefits from the Lakers' perspective as well. As LeBron decides to opt out of his contract, they gave gives the Lakers a little bit more financial flexibility, add some pieces in, fill industry that payroll financially with some competent rotation players, and maybe decide to back on top of the payroll because of the extra space. So there are some benefits and takeaways, and overall, this is everyone else that has the reason why the relationship with the ongoing this is fair. Because now, prioritization is instead of trying to put themselves in existence and get into the game of the problem, it is what to build the best roster around Luka Doncic. And so, it effectively left LeBron with no other answer but to opt in. The reason why it's very important to acknowledge is because if you look at the rest of his options, you realize you really didn't have no other choice. His first option could have
already set on that screen. Easy
for another 2-year max contract. You know,
sometimes that can be a tough call for the refs to make,
one
but not that time. It was easy there.
The Warriors making a switch here. Henderson's checked in. Now here's Livingston. Still without a basket.
If you live in the severe alopecia
3
area,
on 3. Gallinari with it. He's
it's
picked
time
by
to throw
KD.
out.
Second chance
With
shot.
FDA approved legooooo,
Warriors with the
in
rebound.
just under 6 months, some people taking legooooo saw significant hair regrowth that covered 80% of their scalp. Some even saw this amount of regrowth in just over 4 months.
The officials didn't need to talk
legooooo
that
is the
one
first
over.
and only once-daily prescription pill for both adults and adolescents 12 years and older. legooooo can make it harder to fight infections.
However, the Lakers more than likely would have said, when is going to do that? A matter of fact, if we decide to do that,
Than Durant. I mean, range from deep, touch at the
$8 million
rim,
when you get
excellent
this
handle,
instead of the $50+ million that you can get right now.
everything you want from your first option.
Green checked in for
Why would they ever do that?
Denver
It's
also
because
making some
they know
changes.
for a fact
Here's
if
some
LeBron
Nurkic.
wants to make $50+ million all this year, there's no other team in the NBA that has the capability that he was
He's certainly been on target with the free
for
throw.
$50+ million just like the Hornets. They literally couldn't do it. There's no other team that he wants to play for that can compete for a championship that they could just sign LeBron James for $50+ million. There are none. So they sign it on down. If you go for the 2-year, we're not going to go for that. Matter of fact, we're also not going to give you the no trade clause. Anthony Davis. So that's on the team. Now, what is the second option? Well, it's the most logical conclusion to come through based off of what I gave you in the first option, which will easily just be a sign and trade. Or just in a general sense, trade LeBron based off the $50+ million that he wants to get paid to another team. And you will be absolutely correct. However, there's 2 problems with that option. A, there's already been several reports claiming that there are teams that are interested in LeBron, but not through a trade. There's not that many teams fawning over the idea of signing a 41-year-old player who's making $50+ million on their roster, knowing what they may have to give up in pursuit of LeBron, which is then the second problem that teams will potentially have when it comes to trading for LeBron. $50+ million on a year-to-year basis is a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So more than likely, if you were to try to build a trade that consists of LeBron going to the Cavaliers, the Knicks, or any other team, that means more than likely a lot of their identity of said team would be lost in pursuit of getting LeBron, which then begs the question, how valuable would it really be of having LeBron on my roster if I end up losing all of my defensive pieces, or if I end up losing key rotational parts of my team, and I just don't feel comfortable enough believing that a trio of Evan Mobley, LeBron, and Donovan Mitchell might be enough for you to go out there and win a championship, which is something that I'm pretty sure the Cavaliers are really mulling over at this point. However, if you're the Lakers, another reason why you would even have the balls to deny LeBron another max contract is because this will be the perfect situation for you. If LeBron comes to Rob Pelinka and says, hey, let's do a sign and trade, perfect. The Lakers are already trying to figure out what is the best way to prioritize Luka and put a team around him. The best way to do so is to get as many assets in return for the other player that's making $50+ million that is not a part of their future. Perfect. The Lakers would love if they could trade LeBron and go out there and get a medley of supporting cast members that will best suit Luka long term. A Jared Allen, potentially a DeAndre Hunter from Cleveland, or any other lob threat big or defensive-oriented wing like OG Anunoby from the Knicks. That would be perfect for the Lakers and really aid them in the pursuit to not only retain Luka, but also build a team around him. Which then brings us to our last option, and that is simply just opting in. If you opt into your contract, you still earn the amount of money that you were set to earn. You keep your no trade clause that they're more than likely not going to give to you, again, because you put them in a bit of a bind. And 3, more importantly, when it is time to trade you, if that does transpire and materialize down the line, you get to control where you want to go to while still making the amount of money that you make. So, quite frankly, opting in is the best situation for LeBron. But that also means it severely limits what the Lakers can do in terms of their roster construction, which is the reason why I said earlier, I'm not necessarily blaming LeBron rather than just accepting the reality. LeBron doesn't bridge with the relationship with him in the front office like he used to. Luka Doncic is now here, and the Lakers are willing to build around him by any means necessary. And even as I say that, I truly do believe if the front office believed out there in LA with Rob Pelinka, if they truly believe that trading Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura would yield a proper return to build around LeBron and Luka for just 1 year, then I believe they would have done it. But if you look around the league, there probably isn't that many pieces that teams are willing to move off of, especially because of the amount of money that both Rui and Reeves are making, that would even justify making that move. If anything, you would probably want Reeves to be a part of the building process with Luka rather than trying to trade for a piece that may not stay long term, very similar to what just happened with DFS. Which then really kind of exposes the biggest conflicting part of having LeBron on your roster. Again, I'm not trying to sit here and bash LeBron. He's one of the greatest players that have ever played. I've said this over and over again. The second greatest player, in my opinion, of all time. But this is just the reality. When you have a player on your team that is trying to sign 2-year deals to hold all the leverage and constantly put an organization in a predicament to where they have to over-leverage their future for what they have currently constructed now, it puts you at a deficit once you're not able to maximize that 1 year. And then as years and years progress, you finally get to the future assets that you were supposed to have, but they're no longer there anymore because you traded them for teams that you were trying to build 2 or 3 years ago. The Lakers have learned that the hard way. And it doesn't make any sense anymore to continue to do that for LeBron when you have Luka on the roster. The main focus now is to try to build around Luka. Not just this year and next year, but for all the other years down the line where they have all the draft capital in the world and they're still holding on to it for the right moment, the right player, the right time that makes sense for Luka, not LeBron. Because they know LeBron, as they've already eloquently said throughout the media, they're viewing him as an expiring contract. They're viewing him as a potential trade piece. They're viewing him as a player who is 40 years old, who is set to retire in the near future. And again, that all makes sense.
Want to double your brokerage account instantly? We both know this is bullshit. And skip.
It's just the reality of where we are right now. We have 2 different entities. They're on 2 different timelines, and both of them participate with one another long term. That's what's happening right now with the Lakers, and it is the sad truth. So don't be surprised if the only things that the Lakers do is signing DeAndre Ayton or Jake. There's not that many options that the Lakers could do. I love the idea of going after Andrew Wiggins, even if it does cost us a draft pick. I think that's more than acceptable. Also, looking at a lot of the scouting reports from Jake LaRavia, I actually believe he'll be fine playing next.
Welcome back to NBA Cinema. So we got to talk about it, guys. Kendrick Perkins has gone in on LeBron James and Rich Paul. Rich Paul obviously released a statement after LeBron opted in to the $52 million. Saying the Lakers don't have nowhere to get better, and they're demanding that the Lakers compete for a championship. The only problem is now they seem to be on what Luka Doncic wants to do. They want to build a team like the Mavs had when they went to the finals, and they're not able to continue very important. And a lot of people thought that LeBron had something to do with AD being late. I've always said that LeBron knew beforehand, but he didn't know they were making it. They just came to him and said, we're going to make this deal, and he was like, okay, well, include the Morris twin in that deal. So I think a lot of people are confused by what I was saying. He had no bearing on whether they would trade for Luka Doncic. I think that was straight Nico Harrison, Rob Pelinka, and they did it like that. So, pretty much, they like LeBron, we on the win, but you ain't getting rid of that $52 million back. So, what's going to happen going forward? And we know Kendrick Perkins and LeBron fell out a while ago in this coverage of Bronny. Listen to that. Because I cannot believe that y'all missed this. And I'm about to say. Kendrick Perkins has been on the record saying he considers LeBron James on what to cover. He'll cover the way he sees fit, and I believe in LeBron to go. So, moving right along, Rich Paul told ESPN this week, he said LeBron compete for a championship. He knows the Lakers are building for the future. He understands that, but he values a realistic chance of winning it all. We are very appreciative of the partnership that we've had for 8 years with Genie Buss around Pelinka and consider the Lakers as a critical part of his career. We understand the difficulty of winning now while preparing for the future. We do want to evaluate what's best for LeBron at this stage of his life, or in his life and career. He wants to make every season he has left count, and the Lakers understand that, are supportive and want what's best for him. So that leaves it open for him potentially being traded or whatever. Now it comes out that they feel like, they view LeBron as an expiring contract. Other teams not willing to gut the young talent on their roster to acquire LeBron James, and pretty much said that this is the end of Clutch Sports' reign of having control over the Lakers. That's what he had to say. Listen.
And when you
got so much, got all this happening on this call for my statement that I felt like if it's so
many of their came off of the system, which is a good sign for
why you want to
and sharing that ball.
You want a lot. This is new sheriff inside. Should I say sheriffs?
Harris outside.
In town in LA.
Nurkic setting the pace for Harris.
Yes, they have a new owner. And by the way, I don't believe somebody's paying close to $2 million for a team and is not going to be shot. So I know they have the reports that Jimmy Buss is going to, but I don't believe it. Jimmy paying $2 million without calling shots. Okay? And when I say share rich, it's not just because of hope. It's because of hope. You're a franchise guy. Now,
surveying the floor, Gary Harris recognizes when his teammates have open looks and gets it.
It's not a 40-year-old LeBron James. It's not Rich Paul who pushed no good. No, it's Luke.
Here's Hastings.
It's Luke.
Rebound by Nurkic. And around a minute gone here in the second quarter.
I see this on air two days ago. I said DeAndre Ayton goes down with the Lakers because you got DeAndre Ayton represented by. So you don't think that Lucas is having a say in what's going on with the Lakers front office right now? You crazy as hell. But why can they need to score that contract? Right, this extension that's coming up in August. Hell yeah, you want to make sure Lucas is
off from three-point range.
The bad news? Right now, Greenville homeowners are losing tens of thousands of dollars when selling because this one big mistake. The big mistake most Greenville homeowners make when selling is relying